Hi, you have reached the right station. This is Dr. Milton's Social Work Show. Good evening. It's very good to have you here. Look, I'm very distracted at this second. I'm so sorry. There we go. Just want to make sure I put a timer on because I can talk. Welcome to my show. I'm Dr. Barbara Milton, social worker, retired, and I created this show to keep people up to date on the social work profession, social work issues, which means social welfare and social justice issues, which we certainly are in the midst of exposure to with this ongoing COVID pandemic and the civil unrest and the calls for police reform and the calls to end racism and the calls for freedom and liberty to wear masks and the anti-vaccination movement and the skepticism and disinformation, all of the things that are happening right now. If you are paying attention, perhaps you aren't. Maybe that's a good thing. I question that for myself very often. So, what are we going to talk about today? The professional association that I've told you about a few times now is the National Association of Social Workers. I'm a proud member. They have a chapter in every state and every territory, with the national headquarters in Washington, D.C., of course. And we are living our mission, which is to stand up for justice, equality, fairness, the rule of law, to stand up for people who are victims on the margin of our society, the victims of police brutality, racism in this country, pernicious, persistent, intergenerational racism. So we are very engaged right now in this moment around police reform. Now, I know there's a lot of confusion about the kind of reform that is being asked about. And I do think that Black Lives Matters, who sprung up after the killing of Trayvon Martin by George Zimmerman, which was a flagrant miscarriage of justice, in my opinion. You might think differently. At any rate, it activated three young people who said, we are going to put a spotlight on the depravity that is oftentimes in use when there's a black body and a white body and a black and a white encounter by police or people who think they're police, as in the case of George Zimmerman, or people who think they have the right to dictate and control spaces when a black body is in it, like Sarah Cooper in Central Park in New York, like these white women who approach people who are doing regular, ordinary things, shopping, sitting on a bench, walking in a neighborhood, and they're harassed and threatened with police action. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go too far down that road because we know what's happening. We are more aware now since the George Floyd murder, excessive use of force, the depravity of life. We saw this. The whole nation's been awakened. Whites and blacks and Asians and Latinos and rich and poor and suburban uniting around this issue right now. And it is consistent with the National Association of Social Workers to align themselves with this movement. Now, Black Lives Matters, I believe, made a mistake in propagating the use of the word defund the police, that slogan. I get what they meant, but it certainly provided an opportunity for opponents, whether in the White House or in your local neighborhood or in your family, who have interpreted that statement as a statement to mean there'll be no money for the police. In fact, there's advertisements running that tell uh, lies, really. You know, you might have seen the commercial. It's a commercial with a phone ringing, the police answer, they put you on hold because I guess that means they don't exist. And they go, oh, if it's this kind of crime, press one. That kind of crime, press two. And of course, you know, the Republicans, the National Republican Party, and the, their president endorses that false message because defunding really means divestment. It really means to take a long, hard look at the funding that is going into your local police department and saying, how can we take that same pool of money and use it in a way that really promotes the mission of what the policing is all about, which is, as we all know, is to serve and protect, right? So is it necessary to have tanks in a community to do that? Is it necessary to invest in all of this weaponry, tactical gear, things like that? Perhaps a segment, a unit should have such a thing, because there are violent criminals. Black Lives Matters does not mean we don't want police officers. We do. I mean, I'm saying we because I support this organization. It means we have to redirect money to serve and protect people differently. And so what I want to turn you on to today is a national call to action, a virtual advocacy campaign that the National Association of Social Workers is providing leadership on, that is calling for a national campaign, a statewide campaign, and a local campaign to reform the police. That's what Black Lives Matters is saying when they say defund. They're saying reform. And I just wish they would have used those words. So we have to climb the mountain with that boulder on our back. And I wish they would retract it. Because we need to reform the police department. The policies, their practices, their way of conducting business, policing our community, particularly in the urban communities, needs to be reevaluated, needs to be done differently. And the personnel needs to be better trained, better educated, and better skilled to respond properly to encounters with the community. So the National Association of Social Workers, let me put this up on the screen now and just follow along with me. So the NASW is making this call to action on July 28th and the 29th. It is a movement for police reform. It's consistent, as I said, with our mission as change agents. This website has a lot of great information. You can register and join this campaign through Facebook. There's a Zoom meeting that's going to be happening on the 28th and the 29th. There are handouts and tools so that if you need information, you can make sure to get it. It's a piece of federal legislation we're really urging people to think about, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act of 2020, HR 7120. There's handouts here, there's comments you can make to the New Jersey police, the state of New Jersey. So anyway, there's some real concrete things we can do. Let me turn you on to those right now. As I said, it's local advocacy, state level advocacy, federal level advocacy. So let's look at what we can do on the local level. Wonderful information on this website. So, elected officials, including the governor, the state legislators, mayors, city council members, sheriffs, are directly responsible for how policing is done in our communities. That's why the strategy for police reform is happening on 3 levels: local, sheriff's office, police chief, mayor; state level, our state legislature, in New Jersey, our assembly people, as well as our state senate and our governor. And of course, on the federal level, our federal Congress members in the Senate and the House, as well as the president. And so this campaign is aimed at a target audience at the local level for mayors, councilpersons, police chiefs, and sheriffs, right? That's the county freeholders in New Jersey. They're the ones who operate the prisons, right? The jails, right? The county jails and such. So basically what you're saying, and the message is very clear here, that go to page 2. What you're going to say is, do you have use of force guidelines for the officers, particularly the use of lethal force? Are there provisions for civilian oversight of the police department? Like, is there a civilian review board, an oversight panel that's in effect to review police shootings and misconduct? What is the minimal threshold for indicting police for misconduct? If an officer oversteps his or her authority, uses excessive force, how do you handle those complaints? Are there provisions in place that dictate how and when body cameras should be deployed and prevent officers from removing body cameras? We see that happening often. So what does your county sheriff and county police chief have to say about that? Do you currently employ community outreach personnel to address issues that don't necessitate a criminal level police response, right? If you're dealing with homelessness, loitering, vagrancy, public intoxication, sometimes the case of domestic disputes between spouses, sometimes the cases of landlord and tenants, disputes, oftentimes not lethal matters. Do you need to send the SWAT team? Do you need to gin up everyone's testosterone and incite panic and fear? Is that good policing? And then you could say, insist that they make police reform a priority. So these guidelines, these guide sheets are going to tell you what to say, how to say it, what to do when they say yes or no. Because the bottom line is we want them to know that you are concerned about police reform at the local level. You're not buying into all of this unquestioning submission of, the police have absolute rule and that we don't have a relationship with the community. Our tax dollars pay for the police. They're accountable to the citizenry. We don't have a banana republic here, right? They work for us. The sheriff most times is an elected sheriff, right? The freeholders are elected. The mayor and the city council are elected. If they're not meeting your needs on this issue, then we know how to target pressure as citizen lobbyists to have them change their point of view. And if they don't, get them out of there. We'll run someone who believes what we believe in, that citizens should not be the victims of gross and excessive and violent police brutality. We draw the line. We expect different and better. We say similar things at the state level, right? This is to our assembly people and our state senators, right? So law enforcement depends on local knowledge, but they're also guided by policies that are created and implemented through state and national, in our state legislature as well, right? So here we're calling the state assembly persons, the state senators. They're responsible for proposing legislation that impacts the communities throughout the state. So they're responsible for controlling and regulating the finances of the local municipalities. That means the legislature has control over local state police budgets. This is very important. As such, they can put forward legislation or resolutions that address critical issues in law enforcement, including the reallocation of funds from police to other community services, the use of force restrictions, requirements for body cameras, and police oversight requirements, and more. So you'll be calling at the state level for this kind of advocacy, your state legislatures, and you're going to ask them to address police reform in our state. Here are the kinds of things we're going to ask them. Key factors, key questions, 4 of them. Are you willing to institute strong civilian review boards and support Assembly Bill in New Jersey A472? Institute strong civilian review boards and urge them, your state senator and your state assembly person, to support the New Jersey Assembly Bill A4272. The second is urge your legislators to spend your tax dollars on alternatives to policing that better serve the community. Right? And that's, maybe we need more money to challenge or to address homelessness and substance abuse, domestic abuse, wellness checks, other kinds of social issues. Maybe they're complicated and they require more coordination and better trained social service responders. So often those kinds of encounters do result in fatalities. So we have to reduce the footprint of policing in the community by eliminating police enforcement of non-serious offenses, developing first responder and crisis intervention systems, funding restorative justice programs, putting more counselors and teachers, not police, in school, funding institutions that empower communities like schools, hospitals, libraries, and parks, and developing alternatives to the systems of over-policing. We can eliminate unnecessary interactions that lead to violence or death. We want to limit the use of force, ban, criminalize the use of chokeholds, strangleholds, that's carotid restraints, hog tying, transporting people face down in a vehicle. Urge your state senator to support and enhance Bill Senate 2562. We want to eliminate legal protections that let police escape any consequences. End qualified immunity. No one is above the law. We've got to take a good look at that blue wall of silence, right? It's not 1 or 2 cops. We're talking about a system that perpetuates this kind of behavior. Not the apples, but the tree. That's what we're going after. The tree's got some rot in it, and we got to get the rot out. And many many believe that that rot is formed by pernicious racism. So that's what you can do at the state level. And at the federal level, this is Congress, our 2 U.S. senators, Menendez and Booker, and your congressperson in your district. What do we want them to do at the federal level? What are we going to advocate for during this call to action on July 28th and 29th that the NASW is doing, the National Association of Social Workers? You can join in. Don't have to be a member, just a citizen who wants to see change, who wants to see the madness stop about policing in this country. Maybe you've been a victim. Maybe you witnessed something. Maybe you just have become awakened to this new reality for you. Black folks have known this reality since the days on the plantation, since emancipation, since the black codes, since Jim Crow, and still today. We know about terror, state-sponsored terror, and other kinds of terror, from the Klan, the Posse Comitatus, the Aryan Nation, and all the new iterations of it that we see right now in 2020. So we know what's happening. We need a federal response. What are we gonna, why is it important to talk to our federal elected officials? History also suggests that state and federal governments can and must do more. If we're ever going to see change on this issue, we need federal leadership on it. That's the way big change happens. Local, state, national. Sometimes the federal call to action leads the way as a beacon. It's a beacon of light. They shake resources loose to help our states and help our towns. Not the kind of help we're seeing right now with unnamed tactical mercenaries that are being placed in inner cities, in strategically targeted democratic cities where black and brown people overwhelmingly are the leadership and certainly are overwhelmingly the residents. And the current president of the United States, with total complicity from his Republican adherents in the Senate, who have made it their mission to continue to divide this nation, to stoke fear. Repressing the rights of American citizens in our cities who have the right to protest, who have the right to gather. If we lose the right to protest in this country and the right to gather peaceably, we will no longer be a democracy. This is where we are in America right now. And this move, this aggressive move to circumvent the will of our state leaders and our local leaders, this is unheard of. No one's ever seen anything like that. If anything, states and local municipalities throughout history have made a call into Washington and said, hey, we need help. We needed that when we were desegregating schools and desegregating lunch counters and buses. We needed the National Guard. This isn't even the National Guard. We don't even know who these so-called trained, armed, and dangerous soldiers are. Mayors don't want them there. Governors don't want them there, but they're there. Stay woke on this. This is the kind of federal leadership we currently have. I mean, I'm not saying there's some bad actors, some provocateurs. You know, there are. And local government can handle them. They don't need the feds to overstep their bounds like this. On June 25th, 2020, the U.S. House of Representatives, in a historical moment, voted in favor of H.R. 7120, the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. It's a comprehensive bill. It passed 236 to 181. Of course, it was largely around partisan lines, because that's where this country is right now. What will this bill do? It will ban racial and religious profiling. It will mandate national use of force guidelines. It will ban the use of chokeholds. End no-knock warrants except in extreme cases. Breonna Taylor did not need to die. We're still calling for those officers to be arrested. Where's the stand the ground law for the brother that protected his wife in her bed? Our essential worker, our hero who was gunned down like a violent, horrible criminal. It will end no-knock warrants, except in extreme cases. Ending the militarization of state and local law enforcement agencies, mandating the creation of national database of police fired for the use of excessive force. So we know if they are penalized in one district for excessive force and it's a pattern of behavior, they just can't move to another state and become a cop there. It's kind of like the priest, right? Like if you're doing sexual abuse there, you're going to do sexual abuse there. We need a national ban on that. We need a national ban on the database of police who are fired for the use of excessive force. We have to end the militarization of state and local law enforcement agencies. And we must require uniformed police officers to have body-worn cameras, not to take them off to protect themselves. How convenient it is that it doesn't work. And required marked police vehicles to be equipped with dashboard cameras. And the last one is to classify lynching as a hate crime, which, believe it or not, in this country it isn't. Right? So you can make calls to your senator. This website gives you all kinds of information. It gives you scripts to use. Right? We're taking action. A call to action for police reform. This is what social workers do. We take action. And we inspire others to act with us. That's why I'm doing this show. I'm doing this show so you can get information. I'm doing this show so you can get the facts, have another point of view, and just maybe you'll be willing to take an action that will save people's lives and move us in the direction of progress in this country for all people. Dignity and equality and justice for all, not just some, not just the rich, not just the white, not just the male, but for all. That's America. It's the America I believe in. I hope it's the America you believe in. But we got to work to keep it like that and keep us heading in the right direction. Thank you all for watching tonight. Keep tuning in. I'll keep you up to date. Don't forget the caravan on August 3rd. Kay and I are still doing the caravan, which is the Black Lives Matter Get Out the Vote caravan. We're riding on the 3rd of every month up until Election Day. Because we're going to end racism. We got to continue to raise people's awareness about it. And we have to connect our beliefs for equality to the action of getting rid of elected officials who don't want what we want. Going to fight racism, going to get out to vote. So, if you want information on any of these things, just send me an email. See it coming up shortly. I wish you all a wonderful day. God bless you all. Peace.